Thank you so much, Riccarda, for joining us. Are you in Tübingen today?
Yes, I'm in Tübingen, and I brought someone from the German campaign to reform the constitution, Hans Leobada, who's also online.
That is fantastic. Hans, I did see you on earlier. If you are, yeah, thank you. If you can turn your video on, I can spotlight you. I think he's on his way.
Work.
We can hear your voice. We can't see you yet, but we'll take your voice if that's what we can get.
1 second, I'm trying to fix the problem.
That's okay. While you fix it, thank you so much for joining us. And so for everybody who's listening today, either live or later on the recording, Riccarda is both I guess you would call her a pracademic. She works in practice, but she's also working at the University of Tübingen, a rather delightful and amazing place in the world. Riccarda, I will let you introduce yourself and Hans. It would be lovely to hear everything you have to share with us. And please don't feel rushed. You still have 30 minutes and we'll just finish up about 10 past, quarter past the hour. So I'll hand over to you. Thank you so much, Riccarda.
Thank you so much for the invitation. I feel very honored to speak here, seeing the list of speakers and hearing Susana and Teresa from Spain. Yeah, I'm a academic. I'm between academia and a little bit of activism, and I see myself more as an intermediary. And what I brought to you today is my lessons I learned from indigenous peoples in the Amazon and what we can do with this in Europe. I'm obviously not from the Global South, but I work with Amazon indigenous organizations and individuals. And I also brought you Hans Leobada, who's leading one of the campaigns to reform the German subnational constitution. And if that's fine, I would share my screen to start. So I'm a junior professor here in Tübingen for political struggles in the Global South. And my ethics are that I don't want to speak about people from the Global South, but with people from the Global South. Michelle, we were here in January this year, and we had a series of events of South-North knowledge dialogues in the summer term. And this is kind of a spectacular finish today for me of this series. So if you want to know more, you can look at the blog. We have some trailers, some infographics, and we brought together social scientists, activists, natural scientists from the different parts of the world. I want to start this presentation with a vignette from my fieldwork in the Peruvian Amazon in 2014 when I worked on prior consultation, so indigenous participatory processes. And this scene is from one of the events informing Amazonian indigenous leaders about a new forestry and wildlife legislation after a huge clash between the government and indigenous protests. So this information workshop was to teach from the side of a forestry engineer coming from Lima, one of the biggest desert cities, so sand cities, going to the rainforest and teaching Amazonian leaders growing up in the rainforest what is forestry and what is wildlife. So after showing pictures of plantations, which are obviously not forest, then it came to wildlife. And he showed chickens, for example, and said, no, this is not wildlife. This is domesticated animals. And then he showed a frog, for example, and said, this is a being, yes, it lives in the water and on the land, this is wildlife. And then this picture came up, and it's a pink river dolphin. And he asked the audience, is this wildlife, yes or no? And the people responded, yes. The dolphin can come out of water and live in the water. And the engineer said, no, it's not wildlife. It's a fish. It has its own laws. And people responded, but it can come out of water. And he said, this is just a belief. This is not what we are talking about here. This is about facts. And then there was an awkward silence. And the discussion was over, and the engineer moved on. And the dolphin, the bufeo, as it is called, kind of in everyday language in the Amazon, or the yacuruna, a water being, was not part of the discussion and never had a seat on the table to be spoken in or for in this legislation. So it was not part of the game. It died before it even entered the room. And this scene kind of took me a long time to understand. And what I understood from this, that this is not about who knows more about the dolphin, but questions of ontology. So what is a dolphin? And what part does it have in the world? This took me to Mario Blaser's work. He's an Argentinian anthropologist and ecologist working with Marisol de la Cadena and others. And he says this is about ontological conflicts, so different assumptions, what exists. And between these assumptions, the dominant ontology, the Western scientific one usually, the colonizers' ontology wins. There's a hierarchy between them. So when we treat these conflicts, it's about understanding what is there and not how different cultures see one part of nature or the world in itself. What is also important here that in this own scientific biological system of the engineer, a dolphin is not a fish. A dolphin is a mermaid. So it didn't make sense to see this as a knowledge problem, but as an ontological problem. So when we assume this as a basics, that we have ontological conflicts and we have different realities and worlds, Lhasa uses them as a synonym, and these are put into hierarchy, we can understand also resistance against extractivism. So I work with Amazonian indigenous communities struggling against mining, or especially oil exploitation. I saw in the morning you heard about the updates from Ecuador, the Yasuni referenda, and other things. And in extractivism, the ontological prerequisite is very colonial. So the idea of European modernity that nature is an object to be exploited. In recent literature in my field, so in transformative global studies, this is seen as a concept to organize criticism of what we do not want, what is not sustainable, for example. And this means it becomes also a catalyst for transformation in academia. Ontological politics, and now I come back from the Amazon and the river dolphin and the yacuruna to Europe, concerns questions of what is at stake, what is at stake, so what is real behind this? And there's not just one reality, there are many. And the bufeo, the yacuruna, has an agency. When I saw them, I wanted to go to the shore and be close and watch these beautiful beings. But people draw me back from the coastline and said, no, be careful, it can drag you underwater and make you part of being in their world. And then you will not be part of ours anymore. So this is not flippant. This being has an agency. What happens now when we look into Peru? So I have worked many years with Amazonian indigenous organizations in Peru, that this conflict costing more than 30 people their lives in Bagua 2009 resulted in one of the most prominent documentaries, When Two Worlds Collide. So when we don't want this, how can we think differently about this? A world of many worlds, where many worlds fit. What we try to do is, or what I try to work on, or what I'm currently doing, is to conceptualize this as ontological resistance. Patricia Gualinga from the Sayaku community and her network presents the Kausak-Sacha, the living forest, as a proposal to rethink nature and the forest as a living being with rights and a consciousness. So we translate this, or they translated themselves into international activism, transnational arenas. So here's a picture of them with Greta, and into Germany. And now we are in this very country we are based, Hans Leo. So what can we learn from this ontological resistant and pluriversal thinking? What we see is that we want a world in which many worlds fit travels from Subcomandante Marcos in Mexico, from the Zapatistas to the Summit of the Peoples in 2010 in Cochabamba with the Universal Declaration for the Rights of Mother Earth, to protests against coal mining here in Germany, this and last year in Lützerath. They want a world in which many worlds fit too. However, when it comes to the German context, we have on the left side this very progressive or leftist protest with a relationship between nature and humans, recognizing that this is a whole, wanting to stop extractivism. And on the other, on the right or ultra-right side, we have far-right politics of seeing humans, groups of humans bound to one place in nature, and then they need a fence to protect it. The new ultra-right in Germany talks about ethnopluralism. So every ethnicity has its space, and these spaces should be not mixed, not hybrid, but have a fence to protect and avoid mixture. So when I see this discourses from ecofascism and indigenous cultures and the ultra-right or the far-right in Germany, they pick up this discourses of being indigenous, a true indigenous to our country, and having to protect this country as a nation, as a homeland against migrants. So you see here on the right side, Sitting Bull, an indigenous leader from the United States, and they say he would vote for the ultra-right in Germany to avoid limitless migration. So these are very heavy slogans. What is important here when we imagine the visions behind this exclusionary ideas of ethnopluralism, where everyone is or every group is in a fenced space, is not the same as a pluriverse. It's not a word in which many words fit, because these words have conjunctions and disjunctions. They allow for, or this is the idea for post-colonial moments, where similarities and differences can speak to each other. And this is one of the projects I'm very proud to be a part of, and which is just kind of, or has just come out. We have a book launch on the 19th of October here in Tübingen of the pluriverse, a dictionary for a good life, for post-development. So, and with this, to the future in Germany next month, I come to Hans Leo and the German Constitutional Reform. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Riccarda. Some very thoughtful analysis in there. And I did freak out a bit when someone called that dolphin a fish. But anyway, you rectified that. That's good. Thank you. And we're happy to go straight to Hans, and then we can have questions back at the end. Yeah? Okay. Thank you. And hello, Hans.
Yeah, hello. As I was joined this meeting very short notice today. I have not really a presentation, and I'll try to share screen a little bit with where I can explain a few things. So I apologize. I have to keep looking at a few notices I made. My name is Hans Leo. I initiated the Rights of Nature referendum in Bavaria, with which we want to anchor the rights of nature into the Bavarian constitution. This is like in Spain, I think so, because on national level, this is not possible in Germany. We are working also on changing the so-called Grundgesetz, the constitution in Germany, but we need a 2/3 majority in Bundestag and a 2/3 majority in Bundesrat. And from my personal view, this is at the present extremely difficult, and the percentage of success, I think, is not really very high. So I started in September of 2021 this referendum in Bavaria, where we need about 25,000 signatures to get to a so-called Volksbegehren, where in the second step we need 1 million signatures in the time of 14 days. And if we manage this, in the end, there's a referendum in Bavaria where you need 50% of all voters and minimum 2.5 million yes votes to change the an article of the Bavarian Constitution. And I want to give you here the planned text of this Constitution amendment. It's called "Everyone has the freedom within the limits of the law and good morals to do anything that does not harm the rights of others and the rights of the natural world." So this would be the new Article 101 of the Bavarian Constitution. And before I now come to how we are going on there, I want to talk a little bit, of course, about the national level, where a lot is also happening. There's a Rights of Nature network, and it has given itself in the last months legal framework and founded a registered association. And this association is organizing an informal meeting between politics, science, and civil society on the 27th of November in Bonn, in cooperation with the Federal Agency for Nature Conservation, to explore how the rights of nature can be further advanced in Germany. The dialogue event is intended as an informal format where representatives from politics, legal science, and civil society can exchange views on the rights of nature, present their work, commitment, and openly discuss concerns, reservations, or obstacles. The aim is to present an overall picture of the discourse on the rights of nature in Germany and to start an exchange process between the different stakeholders. In addition to a professional debate about the rights of nature and its potential, the main aim of this event is to initiate a dialogue and to find ways to consolidate it and to strengthen cooperation in the future. The guiding question should be: what are the implications of the current discourse on rights of nature for Germany? Can rights of nature be a lever for achieving climate environmental goals? What are the concerns, reservations, or obstacles? And what is already happening? How can the dialogue be sustained in future? And second event is planned for the 1st and 2nd February 2024 in Münster. And the focus will be on the following question: is it possible to change the anthropocentric view of the world in the Western culture and to understand human beings as part of nature? Is it possible to make peace between humans and nature? This question is the focus of a cooperation event of the Rights of Nature network with the Institute of Theological Zoology and the Center of Interdisciplinary Sustainability Research at the University of Münster. The conference leader will be Dr. Christian Müller from the Center of Interdisciplinary Sustainable Research in Münster. One or two more things which are very important also is a book from constitutional law who demands to change our basic law into an ecological law. Part of this also is rights of nature, but in the end it's like changing the whole constitution into an ecological constitution. And there's another book which I like personally, really I like it. I read it already, and I think it's really worth to read it. It's from Elisabeth White. It's called "Nature is Right," and there she explores the question of what environmental destruction in other parts of the world has to do with Germany and our way of life, and to what extent the Ecuadorian principles of the rights of nature are transferable to Germany. Yeah, I don't know if it will be translated into English. I think it would be worth to translate it into English. Yeah, coming back to the initiative in Bavaria, we are diligently collecting signatures here. About 90 citizens are running with approximately 870 lists and are moving in Bavaria to collect the signatures we need. So this means about almost 26,000 potential signatures now, because on each list they can sign 30 people. But important is to know only signatures of people allowed voting are in the end valid. We have printed 1,000 signature lists in the first step and currently preparing the second batch of 10,000 lists with 30 signatures. And in the meantime, also 2 political parties support this initiative, and we are in further talks with other parties and NGOs. And coming back also to Riccarda, on Sunday, we have an event, Pluriversum, with Alberto Acosta, Sandra Weiss, and a special guest, Ramiro Avila, talking about the rights of nature, and it will take place in Murnau, accompanied by a group of a band called Grupo Saal. Yeah, in the end, also the problems also we have to be talked about. It's a very important issue in the future will be the financing, of course, of the referendum, because the costs are about between 600 and 800,000 euro, which have to be paid from us as initiators. So we have to organize this before we really submit those signatures to the Ministry of the Interior. It's a hurdle, and we have to take it. I think if we get all the NGOs and also the complete rights of nature issue into the breadth of civil society, then we can succeed also. Yeah, there's a lot of work to do. We are going slowly forward, but I think it's also very much fun, and I like to meet people like Riccarda and all of you and all of around the world, like Alberto Acosta, Professor Bosselmann. I don't know all the names now, but it's really nice to see that it's really improving also on universities, and the people are working together and they try to connect and they try to bring it forward. Also, yes, I like it. And that's also why I'm going on. Yes, thank you.
Oh, thank you, Hans. That was an excellent overview, and really exciting to hear about all the work you're doing. So can I just recap? So the law initiative is to introduce an amendment, which sounds like it's one provision, one constitutional amendment in the Bavarian constitution. Have you explored what that will look like in practice? If it comes through, will people be looking at how it will operate? Is it recognizing the rights of nature across the jurisdiction? So it's not legal personhood, it's not guardianship, it's open standing. Will anyone be able to defend nature in Bavaria if that amendment is passed?
Yeah, this is a good question. I think it's I think Riccarda could explain it better than me, but I'll try, because I'm not a lawyer. The main thing is we give nature legal personhood, and we don't say in the beginning, you don't say which rights does nature really have. This is the list, and in this list you have this changing. 1 second, can I share my screen somehow?
Yes, you should be able to share screen.
1 second, yeah.
On the big green button, and then make a choice. Yes, you've got it.
So can you see?
Yes. Although
wonderful.
I can't read it because most of us can't read German, but yes, we can see it.
yeah, but I will translate. So
thank you.
What you see is the changings of the Article 101. In red, you can see the things what will be changed. Here it says in the end, I have to translate it 1 second. So the white thing where what you see is everyone has a freedom within the limits of the law and the good morals to do anything that does not harm others. That's what the article is called now.
Oh.
And the changing will be to put in what does not harm others, harm the rights of others and the rights of the natural world. And what you need to do is to add, jetzt habe ich das Wort für Begründung nicht. Ich weiß nicht, ob du das hast, Riccarda. Ich muss es kurz schreiben.
Justification.
Yes, you need a justification, and this justification always also has to be berücksichtigen. Oh, mein Englisch.
taken into account.
Yes, also has to be taken in account. And in these justifications, we say rights of nature. Ja, das müsste ich jetzt übersetzen. Das ist das Problem. Also kannst du es übersetzen? Vielleicht der Satz: Die Rechte der Natur befähigt Ökosysteme naturgemäß zu existieren.
The rights of nature enable ecosystems, natural communities and species to exist in their natural ways, to thrive, to regenerate, to develop, and to regenerate, and will enable them to exercise these rights and freedoms, make them count, and defend them. An introduction of the natural environment, and Mitwelt means being with the world, as a heuristic person, will enable for the first time the balancing of interests between citizens, society, economy, on the basis of natural communities or communities in nature and human freedoms at the same time.
Yeah, excellent. And that's, I think, it means that we have to develop our law into this direction. It's not like it's fixed here, but it's the aim is fixed. The aim is fixed. Yeah.
Yes. No,
not a stewardship or a guardianship model. So everyone, every human citizen can claim to speak for rights of nature.
Yes.
And how we implement it, there are several ideas to kind of establish ombudspersons on every level of German government, so from the local to the national.
Yeah.
And also I think what is very impressive, from my perspective, that the national constitutional reform, one proposition is to insert the dignity of nature. So the principal article of the German constitution, based on the Nazi past, is that the dignity of humans is untouchable. So this is the main principle of the German constitution. And now it should be complemented with the dignity of nature. And this is causing a lot of discussions and struggle. If it's watering down the dignity of humans, if it's really complementing, if we think humans and nature separately, or if humans are already included in nature, and how we could express this.
Yeah. No, thank you.
But I think one sentence. I think the main thing, of course, is that rights of nature is one step going into ecological law. That's, I think, is important. This is always important for me to talk about this like this. That's why I like this book from Jens Kersten. Also worth to read it.
Yes.
Thank you.
No, thank you, Hans. And certainly here in the Australian Earth Laws Alliance, we see the same thing. Rights of nature is not always the ultimate goal. It's a way of breaking through the anthropocentrism to forge something new. And many of the laws in the next 10 years are probably unimaginable now. Things will change, particularly as climate change forces us to respond and change. Thank you so much for that overview. It's very exciting. Riccarda, a quick question for you. With your work looking at these deep knowledge systems and worldview differences between the Amazon and Western knowledge, how are you finding ways to bring that knowledge into Western discussions and open up how Westerners see the world? How are you taking some of these deeper academic ideas and having those conversations? I'd love to know. A lot of people have these aha moments when you actually explain that the way they see the world is one way and not the only way.
Yeah, especially my students are first they are frightened when I talk about ontology and epistemology. They're big terms. And
everyone's frightened by those words. They are big words, yes.
Yeah, and we need this big word. So ontological resistance is also something we have to do in academia. Because if we accept that ontologies are plural, then we have to redefine and rethink epistemology. And from all this scholarship on how to construct decolonial methods or to make it more decolonial, we have very rich experiences. And also, so yesterday I spent all day with Patricia Guaningua from the Ecuadorian Amazon in a conference of theologists. from Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, and they are looking for these things. So those are people who are listening.
Yes.
And what really, so we need these transformations campaigns as Hans Leo is doing and the Network for Rights of Nature. And we need to transform academia, and we have to be very cautious with these forms of new paganism from the ultra-right. And this is not what we want, because also Patricia explained, this is not anti-tech, this is not anti-globalization. They are part of a pluriverse, they are part of the world. They're using, for example, glass fiber canoes to not cut down big trees. They are the only community who runs an airplane company, so little propeller machines, Cessna machines. So they don't have to construct or to allow the construction of a road through the rainforest, because with the road there comes destruction. So they have 2 Cessnas, and they paid those from the compensation they got from the Inter-American Court for Human Rights. So they use this, they converse in between the community and decide what is, as she says, mal menor, so the lesser evil, or the balance. And these decisions are important, and they are using internet, and they are not from the past or something I often hear. Yeah, we lived like this before. No, we have no rainforest in Germany. It's completely different context, and these are contemporary people, and this is very important. So yes, it's an aha moment, but also it's a lot of overload with stereotypes and cliches.
No, absolutely. And as you know, my work involves really challenging colonial notions of what it is to be a human being, particularly here in Australia, with its own oldest continuous culture on Earth, or one of, with very different worldviews. So challenging those notions are very important. I could definitely chat with you both for much, much longer, but I'm very aware that we've taken your time, and we're now a little over time, but I think I might start to wrap up. But I've really appreciated, thank you, Riccarda, for inviting Hans to join us. That's very kind and generous of you to share Hans's time and to share your time with us. So I just want to say a huge thank you to all of our speakers in this final session tonight, Hans and Riccarda from Germany, Susanna and Teresa from Spain, and Rachel, now in Australia, but talking about her home country, the developments in Ireland. It's really been an amazing day hearing from stories all around the world, and I'm continually impressed and struck by all of the things we share, which is everyone's passion for making things better, everyone's passion for their local places, and I guess everybody's battle with the current legal system and how we change it to be a better tool to reflect how we care and what we do. So on that note, I really want to thank everyone who's been participating with us. A special thank you to everyone who was with me all day today and also tonight. That's pretty epic. We've done a great marathon together. The recordings of all of the talks will be available probably by the end of next week. Keep an eye on the AELA website, and pretty much every guest you've heard from across today will be inviting back for more updates and probably longer discussions into the 2024. So good luck with all your amazing work, Hans. I hope that the campaign goes well, and I hope you can raise the money to really do these changes in your legal system. Fantastic. Thank you, Riccarda. Lovely to see you again. We will have cake again one day. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for the invitation, Michelle.
Yeah, lovely to see you. All right. I'll see you all again very soon. Thank you, everybody. Bye.